As Bamenda enters day 3 of the Combined Special Defense and Security Program codenamed Bamenda Clean, travelers are no longer willing to travel to Bamenda, chief town of the northwest region of Cameroon, as the city increasingly gets avoided by people traveling. Owners of interurban transport agencies making the Bamenda line from the economic capital city Douala are paying the heavy price. Is the legendary Bamenda increasingly sinking to rise no more? Is a question we shall be asking to our guest at this edition of the news. He will be talking to us on talking points. Meantime, we will have time to paint a disturbing picture of Bamenda that is under a lockdown, and of course we will also take you to another legendary town, or the city of Kumba in the southwest region of Cameroon, where a battle has erupted between Clando drivers and township drivers in the city of Kumba, that is in the Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the top stories. Stay with us. Thanks for choosing to listen to news on Equinoxe television. We are broadcasting live from Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala. We are 2 minutes past 6 p.m. in Abuja, the federal capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And of course, the same time in Cameroon's economic capital city, Douala. The choice to listen to news on Equinoxe is the best so far. We begin with one of our top stories, fight and a battle that has erupted between Clando drivers and in township taxi drivers in Kumba in the Meme division of the southwest region of Cameroon. Clando drivers are accusing township taxi drivers of attempting to send them out of business, angry and indicating that they could no longer take the excesses of taxi drivers. They took to the Kumba 3 Council today to complain to the mayor of Kumba 3, and later went to meet Ntundo Chamberlain, who is the senior divisional officer for the Meme division. A tense atmosphere in Kumba is painted by Smart Njikan Gabriel.
The Mabanda Motor Park in Kumba 3 subdivision was calm this Thursday. Vehicles that were supposed to be in the park are all at the premises of the Kumba 3 Council. The drivers are angry.
Taxi driver, he bring inside park.
Taxi drivers have been given their limit, but they don't respect the order. The drivers claim they have godfathers and they are untouchable.
They be talk for mayor, you give the taxi driver a book where you don't receive them. You see them, any man get family for house where they feed them.
If taxi drivers decide to open their park and carry people while we are in another park, it's something that we are begging government to see into it. At the Kumba 3 Council building, the mayor, Isaac Mukwele, while addressing the striking drivers, told them he was going to inform the city mayor with their problems. As if to say the response given to them by the mayor wasn't encouraging, the drivers moved to the senior divisional officer's office, where Ntundong Chamberlain was on hand to receive the drivers.
The urban territory is operated by taxi, distance of 500 francs. We were putting them in certain areas, but now you cannot start them from the issue at hand here. We are not operating parks. We have something as taxi stops here. Our delegate from Limbe, you know it very well. At Muteng and the junction, you see taxi going to Boyan, standing beside them and do their activities. Not that we carry mountains here. The problem in this situation is limit. If I and my colleague can combine and put a stop where we have to end, then we'll be better said. Not that we are carrying mountains, right? And now if we go to park, it means that I don't have limit.
At the end of the crisis meeting between the drivers and the SDO, the senior administrative officer instructed that taxi drivers should respect their limits given to them by transport authorities in Meme division.
The decision from the mayor of the city of Bamenda to ban the circulation of commercial and private motorbikes within the main center of the Bamenda 1, Bamenda 2 and Bamenda 3 subdivisions of the Northwest Regional Chief Town, and the special security program, or the special operation codenamed Bamenda Clean, launched by a combined defense and security forces in Bamenda, is having an adverse effect on the name Bamenda. The state of the city of Bamenda, travelers are no longer willing to travel from Douala to Bamenda. People are afraid, even though they have serious businesses to do with their families in Bamenda. They are not ready to travel into the Northwest Regional Chief Town, as most of them say. They do not know what might become of them if they get into the city of Bamenda. And of course, we made a round of some interurban transport agencies making the Bamenda-Douala line, and of course noted that the buses are simply packed, and managers and operators say it is bad business time, and they risk going out of business as a result of the special operation and the insecurity reigning in Bamenda. Simanji Kangebe moved to Bonaberry and compiled the following report.
It is a very quiet ticket payment point that we met at one of the agencies traveling to Bamenda from Douala, and even those who came to pay their tickets for Bamenda by night are not sure of traveling because of the limited numbers of passengers who intend to travel.
At time I used to have 4-5 vehicles in the night, but today is one. In the morning we have not even seen one even in the morning.
Just like in the night, the story is the same in the morning, as most of the cars were simply parked. Drivers seen idling around as a result of the set Operation Bamenda Clean, which has stopped commercial motorbikes from circulation.
Out in the sprawl.
Things are not moving because of the situation in Bamenda. We don't know what next to do. Due to the timid circulation of vehicles, business persons around the travel agencies are also feeling the pains, as their profits have also fallen.
I sell a family bread.
I sell bread, and if it comes to the worst, I make at least 10,000 francs. But now, even 1,000, I have not sold.
Passenger, even see more time, even see 1,000, so I never see me.
Some business persons have resorted in peeling egusi to keep themselves busy, while others have closed. All are praying that the government should solve the problem at hand and stop the use of force.
The question many are asking is if the legendary Bamenda, chief town of the Northwest region of Cameroon, is sinking to rise. When is a question to be answered with time, but elements of the defense and security forces, especially the commanders who jointly signed the communique launching the Operation Bamenda Clean, have so far assured inhabitants of the Northwest Regional Chieftain that it is for their good. It is aimed at getting rid of those they qualified as troublemakers within the center part of Bamenda. That assurance also came from the mayor of the city of Bamenda. Meantime, the armed conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon has also been blamed for the non-execution of public investments projects in the Northwest region of Cameroon. This is one of the major observations that came out of a meeting of CPTM elected officials who converged on Bamenda recently. Mbustela tells us more from the Northwest Regional Chief Town.
Construction, rural electrification, water projects and more are almost at a halt and abandoned across the Northwest region. The public investment project put realization so far at less than 25%, 6 months into the year, and blames the low execution on the ongoing socio-political and security crisis rocking the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. Senators, members of parliament and mayors of the CPDM party meeting in Bamenda are putting heads together to reverse this trend in the interest of the local population.
As a new breed of leaders, you are the agents of change. Transformative leadership demands reliability, honesty, and truthfulness. You must always be striving for peace and trust. And the population is the king, and we are the servants.
This conclave has been convened at a time when school resumption is threatened. For the last 4 years, the education industry of the Northwest region has grown from bad to worst, with students and pupils stranded in their communities.
We have to prepare the grounds. We must make sure that the school compounds are all ready to receive students. And explaining what we have lost in the past 4 years.
There is nothing to do with that education, so we want that our children should go to school and be educated, and we don't want to reconstruct our area.
For the desired results to be achieved, Honorable Gerard Gala says all must work in synergy.
It's not about me in Kamer, it's about our elites, the elites from Kamer and Dongamato. Each elite knows what exactly to do, and then the militants and all other people in the community follow. They see a collaborative platform, they don't have to collaborate, and that's why we're having peace in Kamer. We want that not to happen only in Kamer, we want that to happen in the whole of Northwest region. So we pray that other elites should follow, let's collaborate together and bring back peace. Once we collaborate, those are the base will also be able to collaborate, and then peace will come.
In view of the regional elections whose electorate have been convened for December 6, 2020, Senator Regina Mundi, chair of the conclave, says general interest should be put above individual gains.
And in the Northwest region, not only the elected officials have been working hard to ensure that our schools effectively resume in several parts of the region come the start of the 2020-2021 academic year, that is in October. The move and the task has also been taken by administrative officials. One of them is Mr. Ngida Lawrence Chair, who is the divisional officer for Kamer Central Subdivision. He has maintained focus on the Ward Zone, that has been considered as the hardest hit zone in the Kamer Central Subdivision. It is reported that schools in this zone were closed down since the start of the armed conflict, and they are bent on seeing schools resuming what come October 2020. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
Since the launch of the back-to-school campaign in Kamer Central Subdivision by the Divisional Officer Ngida Lawrence Chair, focus has remained on the Ward Zone, where schools have been completely paralyzed since the start of the Anglophone crisis. Across the 6 villages that make up the Ward Zone, several classrooms have been installed, with many of them now transformed into separatist hideout. Determined to see schools effectively resume in both Ward Zone during the 2020-2021 academic year, the Divisional Officer Ngida Lawrence Chair is back again in the Ward Zone to sensitize parents, learners and teachers. After having toured 3 out of the 6 villages in Ward Zone in his previous visit, the Divisional Officer in his back-to-school caravan and now in Chup and Kup villages. The Divisional Officer was impressed with the determination of villagers to see their children go back to school.
So I can see the turnout behind me. The villagers are ready. They have told me they are ready to brace every odds to see their children back in the classrooms. All the schools of the zones, except for a few, have been cleared, and those that are yet to be prepared, the campuses as well as the internal space, I think the villagers have promised that in the days ahead, that will be done.
Anton Linus, councillor of Bugum Village, and Emmanuel Yunfo, councillor of Kup Village, shared the view of the divisional officer.
I want to assure you that Bongom is a peaceful area. It's just that if you want to say Bongom is not a peaceful area, I would disagree with you, because those boys that are perpetrating violence here are coming from neighboring villages. And I want to assure you that I have sensitized my
This will be an encouragement to most parents.
The million-dollar question on whether schools will effectively resume in these conflict-hit areas during the next academic year is still pending.
Immaculate Fogwe reporting, and still in line with the armed conflict rocking the northeast and southwest regions of Cameroon, we are having information that a detainee of the Anglophone crisis died this day, chained to his hospital bed in the Newberg prison. That is, he was detained at the Douala Central Prison in the Newberg neighborhood of the city of Douala. Of course, it should be recalled that he is the second person to have died in related circumstances within 4 months. Cameroonians are still having fresh memories of the pathetic demise of Tangem, who died recently in Yaoundé. He was also a detainee of the armed conflict, and of course the person who is said to have died this day in Douala, we got the name as Sama Ivo, reportedly chained to his hospital bed as he gave up the ghost. And of course, he is one of the persons arrested in the conflict in northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Several other detainees are held in Yaoundé and others in Douala, Cameroon. We are still working on this information, and we'll be coming back to that subsequently. Meantime, we talk something else. The General Certificate of Education, that is the GCE examination. The marking process has kick-started in Buea in the southwest region of Cameroon. It was chaired by the governor of the southwest region, Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai, as Derek Jato tells us from Buea.
A minute of silence for our brothers and sisters who lost their life to save education.
A minute of silence for their colleague teachers who lost their lives in the line of duty, allegedly killed by the separatist fighters who caught in the crossfire between the separatist fighters and the Cameroon Defense Forces. Most schools have not only been shut down because of the war in the Anglophone regions, but some of its teachers too have paid the ultimate price. The condition and security atmosphere under which some learning institutions have been operating in these conflict-hit regions for 4 years now remains a secret to many. But the good news is that the 2020 GC examination was written, and today Bernard Okalia Bilai, the Southwest Governor, is here to launch the marking phase of the said public exam. And while congratulating these teachers for putting their lives on the line for the future of the nation, Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai did not only assure them, but showed these GCE markers that security around them is top. For all the units of the defense and security forces have been mobilized to enable them mark the GCE hitch-free. Most of them coming to town, they were also reminded that there is no safe zone. For the separatist fighters might be more now in town than in the bushes. And instructions from the Southwest Governor to these teachers in that direction were firm.
Avoid moving in isolation for your personal security. Also, report any suspected persons found around your marking centers to the security officers present in the centers. Respect all government directives on the prevention of COVID-19 pandemic.
The number of marking centers, the precise location, and the number of markers for the job were not disclosed here, as one of the security strategies for times are unpredictable.
Ferry Jato reporting from Buea in the southwest region of Cameroon, and of course with instructions given to teachers taking part in the marking session of the GC ordinary and advanced level in Buea. GC ordinary level and advanced level in Buea. And now we take on this note to talk about employment in Cameroon, to say that the Sud Cameroon heavy rubber plantation in the south region of Cameroon is expected to create some 3,000 jobs. This declaration was made by Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari of Employment and Vocational Training. He was speaking during a working visit, and of course the boss Issa Chiroma Bakari said the goal is expected to achieve within the next 4 years in Cameroon, creating some thousands of jobs. 3,000 is the number to be created by the state-owned company in the south region of Cameroon. And we'll stay in the south region to talk about the divisional officer who recently was recently accused of having murdered the girlfriend in Cameroon. The one seen in the images there, Oyono Banga Frank Delin, who has been transferred from Lokunji subdivision in the Ocean Division of the south region of Cameroon, where he served as divisional officer. In a presidential decree signed Wednesday, that was yesterday, September 9th, 2020, the civil administrator was transferred. He has been replaced by Manga Ombolo Christian Seraphine, a Yono, a Banga Frank, who is whose image you can see on your screens, was accused of having murdered the girlfriend Lydiane Solange Taba with his gun on the 25th of July 2020. Unconfirmed sources have so far stated that the administrator mistakenly fired his gun as he was cleaning the weapon to embark on a journey. To the family of the girl murdered, justice has not been done following the death of their daughter, who was a student of an institution in the economic capital city Douala. They regret that the administrator is still free, exercising his functions despite the death of their daughter, Solange Taba. It should be recalled that in the other appointment yesterday made by President Paul Biya, Sambe Mala Enongene has been appointed subdivisional officer for Babesi in the Ngok-Kitunja division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Meantime, Borong Mbamba is also the new administrative head of Kumbo Abedime subdivision in the Indian of the Southwest region of Cameroon. The new administrator was also appointed to the Ndop subdivision of the Ngok-Kitunja in the Northwest region of Cameroon, first by name Tingwat Valentine, who is the new deal for Ndop subdivision of the Ngok-Kitunja in the Northwest region. We shall be coming back to that information. And we now take what is making news across Cameroon, that is the decision of a key member of the Cameroon Democratic Union. He was the first national president of the CDU party, Sambaka, who has decided to step down from the CDU political party. He announced his resignation from the CDU in a press conference organized in the economic capital city Douala today. Innocent Aze was part of that press conference and compiled the following report. We are sorry we shall not be having that report of Innocent Aze on the resignation of Sambaka from the CDU political party, and of course as announced in Douala today. But it should be recalled that it was a shocking announcement made to men and women of the press today as they gathered in Douala. And of course it's important too to note that just before the start of this news, we got information, sports related information, or information on sports relating to the matches, that is the schedule of the African Championship, commonly known as the CHAN schedule for the 16. It is due to begin on the 16th of January 2021 in Cameroon. It is breaking news coming from the Confederation of African Football, CAF. Breaking as we are getting you informed that CAF has announced that CHAN, that is the African Nation Championship, will be played in Cameroon beginning January the 16th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, that said, we are up to talking point. And today we are receiving a member of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement's political party, and of course who is here with us, that is a member of the CPTM political party. We are receiving Robert Ketia. Got it right?
Yeah, you got it right. Greetings to you and greetings to our viewers.
A member of the CPTM political party.
Yes.
We are glad you honored our invitation.
It's a pleasure to be here to talk to our Cameroonians and to let them be aware of nation building, as the government is doing everything possible to ensure that there is peace, progress in our country.
All right, the government is doing, you said the government is doing everything possible to ensure that there is peace, but the peace is not forthcoming. It means the government is not doing enough.
It depends on your perspective. What do you mean by the peace is not forthcoming? Because peace is coming. If you realize, if you're talking about,
want to contextualize the northwest and southwest region where it's been warring for over 3 years now.
If actually you have good knowledge in history, you realize that what was happening in 2018 and 2017 actually is not what is happening now in 2020. So you realize that the peace is gradually coming. And with regards to all wars that always had to do with separation or secession, it always take a long period of time, but right now in our country it will be one of the shortest, because it is being handled by the government very well.
One of the shortest. Has it ended?
It is coming to an end. Everybody is saying it, how everything is coming to an end.
When will it end? You want to say it will be the shortest, then when will it end?
You see, it's a process. It's a process, and you analyze the return of this process. You analyze the return of peace with regards to the way things are moving. So when you see that things are moving gradually, the children are going back to school the way it was not. You go to places like Limbe on Monday, the businesses are open. Everything is gradually going back to a place. So it's a process.
But you and I know Limbe has not really been in a ghost town mode. Even at the
unless you are struggling to remove Limbe from the northwest and southwest, but we are talking about northwest and southwest.
You talk about Limbe. I didn't call Limbe. You talk about Limbe, yeah. And I'm trying to say that you and I know that Limbe, even at the peak of the crisis, as you said, that it was in 2018, 2019, was not really in that ghost town mode as we saw in other places, say Boya or Kumba. But
the factual truth is that you yourself, you are an investigative journalist, and you obviously tell viewers that what was happening in 2018, 2017 is not what is happening now.
We might not be having the confrontations that we reported in those in the years you are citing, 2018, 2017, but the issues, what is happening now, the events in the northwest and southwest regions now is just beyond human comprehension. We in 2018 had confrontations, but now we are having people killed in the most cruel manner.
Yes, because people have realized that these guys that have picked up weapons against the state are being brutal, and so most people are collaborating now with the military to bring peace in the northwest and southwest region, and such people are being attacked and called blacklegs because of their act of patriotism to join the military to ensure that there is peace in our country. You see, when I say peace is gradually returning, I'm talking because the government is putting everything possible to ensure that this peace comes. Like for instance, we are going to the last phase of effective decentralization, which has to do with the regional election, and we realize that when the government is putting all this effort, these people are seeing and they are realizing that the government have them at heart. We'll be having the regional election, which will be the last phase. House of Chiefs will be created per se with colonialism. People always talk about indirect rule and the respect of traditional rule and the House of Chiefs. All those things will be put in place to ensure that the people have their autonomy that they wish. When you talk about the special status, northwest and southwest will be able to control their health system, they'll be able to control their basic educational system, they'll be able to manage their judicial system by themselves. So these are the aspects that have been put in place to ensure that peace return in the northwest and southwest by the government.
But the argument is that these are not the things demanded by the people, at least the people in war with the government of Cameroon.
When you say this is not what is being demanded by the people, then I get confused, because the constitution talk about decentralization, and this is the last phase of that decentralization. The people met in Yaoundé with the Grand National.
You got me well when I said at least those in war with the government in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, those warring with the government.
When you talk about those warring with the government, have you talked about the common man? What is the wish of the common man?
What
the
is
wish of the common man want hospitals to be reconstructed that have been burned. The wish of the common man wants schools to be put in place that have been burned. That is the wish of the common man. And that is why the government has put in place the reconstruction, which would obviously take place. What do you think an old man in a village, like a local village, will be demanding for? That person will be demanding for hospital. We've seen a situation in which women want to put to birth because hospitals were being burned. They have problems to go to hospital. So with reconstruction, these hospitals will be put in place, schools will be put in place, road pipe-borne water will be put in place. These are basic amenities which our people cannot do without as peace continues progressively. So it is the wish of the people. You see, when we are talking about what the people want, what does the Constitution say is effective decentralization? That is what the government is putting in place. Secondly, we are talking, when you say, what do the people want? The people met in Yaoundé. They met in Yaoundé at the Grand National Dialogue, and then they decided that they want effective decentralization. And that is the face of the effective decentralization that is going on, that the government is about to carry on regional elections, where the House of Chiefs will be put in place, and the regional house will be put in place to ensure that decentralization is actually effective. Yeah, but
I talked about a particular group of people. You know, first you will understand honest from all perspective that they are actually a classes of people. Anglophones are not divided. They are secessionists, they are federalists, they are unionists, and they are Cameroonians who just want to go about their duty, their lives normally. They go about their affairs normally without being disturbed by anyone. Now, the move of the implementation of effective decentralization, the move of a special status, seem to be addressing mainly the concern of unionists.
In the early 1990s, our fathers discussed. Here we are alive today, we are discussing, and when we go, our family, our children will keep on discussing. That is the beauty of the multiculturalism of our country. Cameroonians will keep on discussing, and a narration will be going further, and our country will be growing. It is a process. It's a process which the people need to understand. And Cameroonian, the government said, we want to dialogue with all Cameroonians of good faith. No one will be left aside. Some people want the government to speak with some particular people. We are all Cameroonian, and the government discuss with all Cameroonian. And everybody's voice counts. Everybody is a Cameroonian. We have one nationality each, and the government decided to discuss with all Cameroonian and not some peculiar people. Because where you are driving to, I know where you are driving to. Do you want the government to dialogue with someone that decided that children in primary school less than 8 years, their hands should be chopped off, that they should not go to school? Do you want the government to discuss with the person that decided to chop up the hands of people that are working in CDC? Do you want the government to dialogue with the person that decided that the cause of the United Nations to be burned? Is that the people you want the government to discuss with? We should be realistic and accept all this.
You are not asking me questions. I'm actually presenting concerns raised by different groups of people, and of course, not coming from me. But now you look at it when those who are a group of people saying that the Yaoundé dialogue was not inclusive enough. They are not only Cameroonians. Recently, we had senators from the United States of America, 13 of them, bipartisan group of senators came up to say Cameroon should consider an inclusive dialogue. Cameroon should consider a ceasefire. They are not the ones, the only ones. Many people have said the Yaoundé dialogue was not inclusive enough.
You see, many people don't understand what is going on, and they keep on talking about ceasefire. I don't understand their perspective about ceasefire, because the president of the republic had already demanded for that earlier on when he asked the guys to drop their arms, and they have dropped their arms. And is it which sentence the people want to get with regards to ceasefire? When you say people should drop their arms, they have dropped their arms. They are in the DRC center. Some of them are even fresh more than you and I if you go there. So that is what we are talking about.
That's anyway a definition of ceasefire.
Oh, ceasefire, drop your arms. They have dropped their arms and they are doing fine. And we are continuing. We'll talk about inclusive dialogue. When we talk about inclusive, we mean everybody's opinion counts.
Yes.
And the Grand National Dialogue was about everybody, all Cameroonians from all walks of life. If the government discussed with some particular people and allow the other, then it will not be inclusive. Inclusive means everybody should be included.
Yes.
So if the government discuss with some particular group of people, it will not be inclusive. That is why we had the Grand National Dialogue.
And was it inclusive enough?
Everybody was invited, and all Cameroonians of good faith were invited. And we had those that went there to drop their arms, that were the part of the separatists. So we realized that everybody was included. It is true that all Cameroonians cannot go into that building, but the truth is, we have separatists that were there that believe in separation. They were also part of it, and they even dropped their weapons.
It wasn't for all Cameroonians anywhere, but for leaders, opinion leaders, and leaders of different movements.
They were representing people.
Of course, they were representing people.
Good. Then we say all Cameroonians.
And of course, when we talk about the fact that it wasn't inclusive, like the U.S. senators said, they are indicating that separatist leaders were not present.
The most important thing you should talk about this is the fact that they are asking for the return of school, which is very important because the school education is the fundamental human right of people. When we talk about fundamental rights, they are political, social, and economic.
Look, we are looking at the macro. We are looking at the macro. We are looking at the bigger picture, because if peace comes back, you spent time talking about reconstruction. You spent time talking about going back to school. But if there is peace, these things will just come. What will happen if houses, schools are constructed today, reconstructed today, and tomorrow they are destroyed because insecurity is still there, because the war is still ongoing?
You see, the government is discussing with Cameroonians. And we should also understand that the government is there to hear the plea of every Cameroonian, and they are talking with every Cameroonian. And we should not understand we should try to understand diplomacy and how diplomacy is working.
Okay.
But for right now, I want Cameroonians to know that the government is discussing with all her children, home and abroad, to ensure that there is peace. And this dialogue will continue and continue and continue. Cameroon is greater than us. We came and met Cameroon. We will go and leave Cameroon. But we will continue discussing as we are in Cameroon.
Okay.
Dialogue, as dialogue goes further, peace is coming back home. So we should understand this and know how the government functions.
The dialogue is ongoing. Now, I want to talk about voices that have been rising following the distribution of regional seats. I will take the cases of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. We've had voices coming up from individuals. I say Libialem division, for example, Kupeng Maninguba, they got 6 seats each at the regional assembly. We have the Menchum division with 10 complaining, or less than 10 complaining that they have been cheated in the distribution process. It's done by your party, and the party that's the ruling party. It's your government. How was it done, and what is the criteria in doing this? Why are we having these voices? Everybody knows that with regards to representation in this country, in all assembly, the government look at the population of the people and their geographical location and their size. Those are the various aspects that the government recognizes. When they look at the population, you don't expect a town with a very large population to be compared with another with a small population. So they look at the population and the geographical size of the place to ensure that this go. I just want to greet Honorable Jingu Musa of my constituency where I come from, who is putting everything in place to ensure that this election goes in peace. And also I want to appreciate Honorable Ngalajera that is doing the same. You remember, this is an indirect election, it's not a direct election. With regards to the senatorial election, there were no casualties, right? Because it was an indirect election. So people should not be scared that there is any problem. Besides, the architect of modern day territorial administration, Paul Atanganji, has said he will provide enough security for Elekam, enough security for Chief Darwen, and met him, of course, and he will provide enough securities for all the councillors, and that will be done before, during, and after the election. So everything is in good faith. The beautiful end of effective decentralization per demand of the constitution will be put in place, and peace will come back. Robert Kedia, member of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPTM political party, is a guest on Talking Point today. Thanks very much for accepting to talk with us. Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's beautiful talking to loving Cameroonians that want peace, and we are doing everything as Cameroonians to ensure that peace comes to play. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much for your very kind attention. Stay with Equinoxe Television. Interesting programs continue.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte. Ce jeudi,